Hello, everybody. I'm DaBiggestPoppa. Welcome to my segment, Back in Business. I'm here joined by. That's your cue.
11 SB.
Thank you. All right. The whole purpose of me doing this is to learn more about the character behind the content, the person behind the business. And this is already a wonderful friend of mine, but now I want to take a deeper dive and to learn more about her, where she comes from, how she got her start, and the things that make her her. So, SB, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited because I know that we've been wanting to do this for like a minute. So I'm
It,
very, very happy that it's here.
a minute's putting it lightly. Not just tell me, tell everybody about yourself, what, where you come from, your background, your why. We go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is SB. I was born and raised in Stockton, California. I am so excited and so happy to be here. And I feel like content creation has been something that I've always loved doing ever since I was a little girl. I've always been, I feel like, more of a creative more than anything. Never really been like sporty or never really been into like gaming or even like the very, very girly stuff, like, like the Barbies and all that. It was always like coloring books, art, like very much music, driven. It was always really focused on the creative. So when I started doing content creation, it was more like literally a hobby, and I think
Yeah.
that is why like a lot of content creators nowadays, the most successful ones that we see and we witness are the people that have done it for like years and years on end, and it's because it truly doesn't feel like a job. Like it really feels like something you enjoy doing, and I feel like I'm very lucky in that sense where what I really, really loved doing my whole life became a job, which is just super, super awesome. So I'm happy to be here and happy to chat it up and get to know you more as well.
I appreciate it. I completely understand that. Content creation is something that I've wanted to dive into for a long time. Now, with the peers that I've had and the friends that I've made along the way from just being myself, you get to really funnel that into something that can be productive. And if it weren't for that, like I wouldn't have come across you, other people that I've met in this business. I mean, it's hard, but I think a question I want to ask you just to start out because you mentioned it's kind of been a part of your personality since you were little. So, what do you think younger you would have needed the most if you could go back and tell your younger self that when you were starting out, like even from a year ago, 2 years ago, or that little girl that you talked about? What is something that you think would have been a source of comfort that she could have heard that would benefit you? Something that you think other people would want to hear now if they were starting out, or someone young who watches you? What's some that you want that little girl who's in the mirror singing to herself or dreaming of doing something like this?
Yeah, something I would tell myself, like younger me, and just anyone in general that maybe wants to pursue their dreams and maybe they're just a little bit like scared, is to believe in yourself more, believe in your ideas. I feel like if I didn't allow like imposter syndrome or certain insecurities that I had or certain beliefs that I've had in terms of like, oh, I think this will really do good, but just because I think that it would do good, I really haven't seen any content creator do it. So, what if it fails? Like, what if it's not good? Like, what if it
A
turns out to be
hundred
like
percent.
terrible? So, I would tell younger me to definitely believe in myself a little bit more. And even like, I think I would tell the same thing to myself 3 years ago. Like, just believe in my ideas, believe in my own thoughts. And because, I think that comes and stems from like failing and you know people say like true failure is if you just don't try, period. Like that's what true
Yeah,
failure truly is, because failing is not trying. Like trying is just a risk, and you only miss the shots that you don't take.
that's
And I would
real.
just tell myself to believe in myself more, and I would tell anyone that in any job endeavor, like not just content creation, like if there's something that you're interested in doing or you have your full-time job and you want to like have a hustle on the side or you have an idea, take the steps to work towards that. Like there's always room for more and there's always room for growth. So that's something that I would tell myself and others.
No, that and I mean it's wise. I think that there's a lot of areas where people, I know myself included, that fear to start, that fear of messing up is really what holds a lot of people back. And I can attest to you, like I just started putting out YouTube videos this year. Just do it. Like You're absolutely right. You're going to miss every opportunity that you don't take. And for those who are worried about failure, failure's your best teacher. Like the only guarantee that something's not going to get done and you're not going to reach the level that you want to is if you quit. If you give up on yourself, then that's only something that you could be mad at you for. But you're going to want some of that healthy pressure down the line. You're going to need to be on yourself and be open to the criticism of yourself and learn to be okay with that not everything's perfect. You're going to start out with very little. Um, and I think that that's huge.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the times too, if we're talking specifically socials, a lot of people are a little bit more shy or embarrassed, or they care so much about being perceived and how they're perceived, whether that's from your family, your friends, just online strangers on the internet. I mean, as long as you try, that's all that matters. And trying is like it's the best thing you could do because most of the time, like 90% of the time, people don't even like bother trying. Like if you fail, it is what it is. If maybe you had an idea and it didn't work out as much as you wanted it to, then try again. Just because something doesn't work out the first time doesn't mean that if you attempt or want to execute it the second time or the third time, that doesn't mean that it's not going to work as well. So that's another thing is like, okay, I've tried something in the past the first time, didn't work out. But then I would attempt again, like the second or the third time, and then it would work out. So also just don't be discouraged by something failing like the first time, the second time. I think there's always room for improvement and just don't be shy.
I know that there's always going to be like that emotional response on the back end that a lot of people don't really get to see. What provides you that source of clarity that you can escape the negativity, the thoughts of doubt? What really helps you?
Yeah, like when I lay my head at night, where does my mind go? Is what you're
Yeah,
asking.
where does your mind go? What keeps you motivated for it? What keeps that pressure off of your back?
Well, there definitely is a lot of pressure. I love that you
For
use the
sure.
word pressure because I think it always differs and it depends on like your upbringing and how much, how much like you like stressors I guess you've had on yourself even as a little girl, like that all carries on with you no matter how much you grow and no matter how much success that you see, like it's still within you and you have to really work on that little girl in you, like still. But to answer your question, I think what helps me in my escapism and what keeps me motivated, what keeps me going are definitely just like my personal relationships that I have with like my family or friends or even like um my personal relationship that I have within myself, most importantly, and realizing that as long, I could focus and be super immersed in my job and my work, but in order for that to even be successful or be the best it could possibly be, I also have to be as immersed in myself as well and do
That's
what I
deep.
can in order to keep myself going and my health going and to be a good sister, a good daughter, a good friend, a good girlfriend, like all everything all put together. So I think definitely what helps me, what allows me to do my best and putting my best foot forward would be just keeping a positive relationship with myself, but also just a positive relationship with the most personal people in my life and um, really acknowledging that you are not your job, you are not your work. It's a part of you. It's maybe like 10% of me, 15% of me. Some days it's 80% of me, some days it's 100% of me, some days it's 30% of me, but it doesn't define me. So
Right.
it really just depends on my schedule and just keeping that balance of like, okay, this is family time, this is personal relationship time, and just being very, very mindful of keeping the things pretty separate.
I'm learning that as I firm up into this and try to really shape things. Blocking out your time and setting aside time for specific things is huge. Scheduling yourself more than just filling your schedule with stuff to do, but scheduling your own time and time to really reconnect with you. I think a lot of people getting their start, no matter what the profession is, it doesn't have to be content creation. You could be in the medical field, you could be in law. There's many things you could be doing, but if you let that become you, it consumes you. And I think you saying that it's massive that having a positive relationship with yourself is key. I couldn't agree more with that. I know myself, a lot of people do struggle with that. That's comforting to hear. You mentioned family twice. So I got to ask, what do you think is something that your family could say about you that either not no one else knows, but a way that they would define you that a lot of people don't get to see?
Okay, I love this question. I think one that immediately comes to mind is when people see like my videos or my photos or whatever it is that I post, or even like if I go out and ask a certain question, which kind of pulls out a negative answer from someone and they say something negative, whether it's about me, my looks, just body image in general. Um, people on the internet have witnessed people say some pretty ugly, nasty things to my face. So I think something that my family knows and sees about me that the internet does not know at all is that I'm the biggest, like, most sensitive baby ever. Like, I think an assumption that the internet, I guess, would have about me or have wrong is that I'm like this stone cold, like super strong, like nothing ever gets to me, girl. Like, no, I do not care what anyone says. Which the reality is that when it comes to like a stranger or someone on the internet, like hate comments or someone just giving me like not the nicest response if I'm doing interviews out and about, like the reality is that they're strangers. So yes, I don't really like I don't try to take their response personal, but when it comes to the personal people in my life, if there's like a falling out or if there's ever an argument or a disagreement, I'm so sensitive. Like it's so easy for me to be emotional, to cry, but it's because I care so much, so deeply. And it's like even if I'm having a conversation with someone and they're opening up, they're being vulnerable, and they end up getting emotional, then like I get emotional and I just feel feelings like so deeply. So I guess someone in general wouldn't really know about me is that I am immensely like sensitive and a, a crybaby, to say the least.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I would have never described you as stone cold. You've always been warm and inviting, like you've been open to talking before. I do wonder, because you said that healthy relationship with yourself is key, and you've mentioned to not let a lot of stuff hold you back and to be fearful. How do you balance out that hypersensitivity? It's I deal with it too, but you just don't show it. You do have to learn to let a lot of stuff roll off. How do you balance out that sensitivity when it comes to criticism? Because you can get a lot of hate, but if you've ever had constructive criticism that you think has furthered you, even if it's coming from yourself, how do you mitigate that? Where do you think that you really can let some of that in and what you learn to filter out?
Yes, I love this because
I think we're good. We
you're
haven't
not frozen on my end.
you're no, you're good now. It just right as you went to talk, it froze. But we're good. Go ahead.
I said, okay, where I left off was so sometimes I will get like these long messages often of like real true transparent like constructive criticism and that I am so grateful for. But sometimes those are the ones that I do feel like okay, this is more personal. Like they're really, taking the time to like send this message and sometimes it's like it does make you self-reflect and you're like
Right.
like maybe they're right or like maybe I am, I could be doing better or I could be doing this, but I do my best not to take it as a negative thing, even though your initial like my initial first reading it like it could feel so personal, but it comes with the territory, it comes with the choice that I've made in doing this full time, at least for now. So I am very, very grateful for constructive criticism. I also grew up with quite a strict mom and a strict sisters because I was raised as the baby, the youngest. So I was always pretty much used to it for the most part, but it does hit different when it comes from like a stranger.
No, that I can understand that. And I also understand it hitting harder at times when it's coming from those you care about because you hold them in high regard. So any of their feedback you're gonna hold in high regard. And if you're already emotionally inclined to react to them, of course that makes sense. Um, hmm, that I like that take. That's real. I don't think a lot of people know it in the back of their head, but they don't take into consideration how to differentiate that. like one comment from somebody versus another. Some people can't handle criticism at all. I know in my past I struggled with criticism, and now I'm more open to it than ever. And I don't want to hear, oh no, you're doing fine, it's good. No, tell me where to improve. Tell me where to do stuff because you're not going to learn otherwise. So that's
It could
very true.
definitely trigger your nervous system. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
the thing. Like it could trigger it for sure.
Oh
Like
yeah.
especially depending who it's coming from, maybe their tone of voice. Like I've had that too. Like I've had a friend that I don't know, maybe this is a little silly, but I was late to something and she was like kind of upset with me about it. And then I ended up meeting her like in person. I think it was like at the library. And she kind of expressed to me how like she wasn't okay with that and it wasn't cool. And she expressed it to me to my face. And I remember like apologizing. And like that was like really uncomfortable. But at the same time, it's like I respect it because like she just, had those boundaries and she laid it down. But we're
Right.
still like really, really good friends.
No, that's good.
So yeah, constructive criticism is great.
Let's walk through a normal day of yours. Say you're not dealing with content. What does a normal day look like to you? A day where SB has time to herself. What do you do?
I don't really have a lot of those days.
That's true.
So that's
That
a good
that's why
question.
I had to
Um,
ask.
but I do, and if I do, it's usually spending it like with someone I love or I care about because I think those days are really important and just having those days too is just like for me it's important to just like leave my phone and put it away. Like if especially if you're a content creator, like that's super essential. I've had like pretty insane days. I had to learn this like the hard way in college and my undergrad,
Yeah,
especially because that was a time in my life where I had like two social media internships on campus, as well as managing my own personal social media.
that's
And
a
then I
lot.
had like a full course of classes. So I remember and I recall having like three phones on me. So my phone, the phone of like my first social media internship, and then the second phone of my other social media internship. So I was just on phones all day, every day. Even in my classes, I would be on um my phones. Like because it would either be for myself or just for the social media accounts of the internships I was working for. And not at all did they force me to do that. It was more so me because I was so passionate about it. And when I see growth, and social media truly is like a 24/7 thing. Like, if you want to see progress, you kind of have to like devote yourself to it. So
Right.
I was kind of like okay with the hustle, but then again, like it's not healthy at all. And I kind of had like a breaking point, and I realized this is not good. Like, I need to really have breaks when it comes to my cell phone and not just be strictly on it for work too. Like it's okay to be on it and see some entertainment and kind of like cuz sometimes I remember I would treat like my algorithms like it's research. It's solely research. Like I'm literally just scrolling this for strategy. But now it's like I go on my For You page and I try to just watch for entertainment, like here and there for myself and laugh and be, you know, have humor with it. But what was your question? I
No,
don't
I
know if I
mean, no,
answered.
you pretty much
I
did.
forgot. I just
No,
started talking about college.
that's why it's here. Like this is the stuff that people need to see about you, about each other. I think humanizing one another because when people see content creators, especially you, like you've done such an outstanding job just gaining the following that you have and seeing the events that you get to go to and do stuff that's huge. Like that doesn't just happen overnight. I know that a lot of work went to that. That's why I was passionate about speaking with you on things like this. But that right there of you being able to dive into it and just feel open and to actually see you radiate and smile and talk about something that warms your heart, that's key to it. That is a part of staying in touch with you. That's why I wanted something like this. So you did answer the question absolutely fine, but now it makes me wonder, where do you realize when you start to slip? Like when that burnout starts? Like what are your signs of it? Because I think that's another thing a lot of people need to hear, just like to recognize your, not your triggers, but like your thresholds, your breaking points, so that you know how to assess it, how you deal with it. That I think that's important. You started to speak on something that's pretty profound, and I'd like to expand on it.
Social media burnout. Oh my gosh. So usually when and if I would like take a step back or break from social media, it's usually because something externally is like happening in my life, and I
Right.
realize that like it's just I maybe I just physically can't do it anymore, or just mentally like I should take a break for myself. But I never actually myself experienced like a creative burnout. Like the aspect of like running out of ideas, like
Oh,
I don't know.
oh,
Like for me, I'm such a writer, brainstormer. I write every day, everything. That's never been an issue for me. However, I've had burnouts in terms of just like mentally.
yeah,
Like, what am I through at the time? What is something that I've come across in my life that maybe just triggered me that I physically feel like I can't do this right now, or I'm in a rut because I just found out bad news about something. So, my burnout has never really been creatively. It's always been like emotionally, like mentally. Um, Something happened in my life where it's like, maybe it's just not best for me to be on social media right now. So I think there is just different types of burnouts, and for
yeah,
me it's never really been a creative issue just because I've always like even my notes apps now or my journal, I have so many ideas that I have even yet to act on and I want to act on. There's always something to work on. There's always
right.
like at least for me, like I always it's really bad because sometimes I wish I was an octopus and I could do like 10 things at once. But then if you kind of put yourself in that situation, it's like you're never going to really excel in one or two things because you're trying to spread yourself too thin.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I've never experienced creative burnout, but I have experienced like mental burnout,
Hmm.
tired, exhaustion. I don't know if those are the same things, but
No, they are. You're absolutely right. There's plenty of different types of burnout. I've definitely done it to a physical extent. Back in the day, I worked in restaurant management, and that was it. What I mean, there was some mental tax to it, but that was like strictly it physically wore me out. I mean, it put me in the hospital, so I know that that's one type of burnout. But mentally, I thought I was cool, and my body was like, nah, that you have to stop working. But creatively, I think anytime that I hit a wall, it's huge for people to just not to shift focus, but to shift gears. If you're hitting, like you said, you write all the time. Same. So if I'm stuck and I'm in a writer's block, I'll draw. I'll just find a different medium to do something. So there's still a creative outlet, but at the end of the day, you're still creating something, and that could spark idea back to what you were doing. So I think diving into those different types of burnout is huge. Recognizing it is huge. And nah, you answered the question beautifully. That was great. So, so, um, what's I guess a bad habit that you've had to unlearn doing all this? Like, what have you learned about your personal self that how content creation, I guess, has affected your personal life? Things that you think that it's helped, ways that you think it might have hurt. Let's talk about it for a little bit.
immediately what comes to mind right now is when I was very first starting, like
Mm-hmm.
seeing some growth like on social media. I am still to this day, I'm such a numbers girl, analytics, everything. Like even with like my internships and doing social media for other businesses and brands, like working behind the scenes, I value that information and those numbers so much because it really does give you a lot of insight, what
Right.
works, what doesn't work, what you could do best next, or what is it that you've done in the past that maybe it's like, maybe I could have tweaked this strategy here, or maybe I could have done this differently. So very early on, if we're talking just like for me and my social media presence, I realized that it was so unhealthy for me to be looking at those numbers because very early on, when I was
Mm.
like maybe in my 19, 20, early 20s, it just really impacted like my self-worth. Like I really thought that those numbers would reflect my mood. Because I would post like a lot weekly. I would post like once a day. I still do. But I would post and I would watch, I would watch, I would watch, I would watch the number go up, 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 and then I'd post the next day, and then I watched the number go up, but then it was stagnant. It wouldn't go up anymore. And I realized I was like, oh my God, what did I do? How did I look? Is it because I have my hair like this? Is it because this is angled? Maybe because I showed cellulite. Maybe it's because there is a back roll in this. Like, I literally reflected in those numbers and those analytics and those likes were literally like my whole life, and I realized like this is not good, this is not healthy, this is not good for me. So then I gave myself a rule pretty early on, like don't look at anything. Like don't look at the numbers, don't look at the likes, don't look at how many comments something got, even though it's pretty like it's pretty hard to do that. But I just don't go in those numbers because it will affect me.
Yeah.
So now I only notice like, okay, these videos did pretty good. Like that's really cool. I could do more of that. But I don't look at I don't look at the negative. I don't look at for me it's like I'm just gonna do this because I love it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
No, that's real. And I needed to hear that. I am analytical, but there's by no means the obsession with the numbers. Like if something gets views, it gets views. And that I gotta leave it at that and keep it moving. Because I think if people fixate on there's two things that they can waste their time fixating on. So long as you're consistent, it's important. If you fixate on just getting stuff out, that can also cause a source of burnout because there's a fine line that I think people walk between content creating and overloading themselves with content. I think if you try so hard to just funnel to make sure that something's out, and this is no shot at you, like making sure that you have like if you're streaming, a video out every day, that can lower the quality of it because now you're prioritizing just the quantity. And I think when it comes to the craft of something, taking your time with things is huge. But like you said, that consistency is important. So knowing the type of mood that you're in, the type of art that you want to create, the type of content creator you're trying to be, the type of person you're trying to be. This is both career wise and outside of it. Staying consistent and habit forming in anything you do, you being able to learn that early on, I congratulate you because it gave you a huge leg up in where you are now. And I know you're going to continue to grow. It's extremely perceptive of you. I think that there's a lot of other people that are probably going to need to not just reorganize their thoughts on how they do stuff, but learning more and more from other creators, other artists, people in many industries that I've talked to. Everyone's had a different piece, but one thing stayed consistent that consistency is key and not focusing on what it relates back to what you said earlier. Don't focus on what other people are thinking or saying. Focus on you, maintain your healthy perception of yourself, work with yourself. Nah, that's real. That's really big. So
1000%. And I want to touch on something really quickly because I
go
know
ahead.
that I mentioned that I myself personally don't experience creative burnout,
Hmm.
at least not yet. Like, I,
That's
maybe that'll
true.
change. However, I don't want to come off across as like dismissive because I know that a lot of content creators experience this, and it 100,000% depends on what type of content you're creating or you're doing.
Hmm.
For example, I was put into this. I had a meeting at YouTube where, of course, like you meet all these different creators with so many different like content styles, content niches, and we came across the same exact topic of like creative burnout, how to cope with it or how to avoid it. And I kind of recall saying something similar where it's like, I never really experienced that. But then we went around a room and kind of talked about, how different of a creator we actually are. And there was someone next to me that he was actually like an animation creator where he would create
Oh,
like shorts and TikToks of like he would draw these very like intricate like animations and like cartoons, and like just drawing itself would take him hours, and then he would have to go into the editing process which takes him
no
hours. And
worries.
so he would tell me that it would take him like sometimes 10 plus hours to release like a literal 30-second short
Right.
or like a 30-second reel. And so we kind of compare like our different content styles or different niches, or just because, I say that I haven't experienced it yet, duh, the person next to me that's taken like 10 plus hours to create like a short little 30-40 second animation, he's 1,000% going to be feeling it completely different than I am because he just has a different content style. So I think it really does depend too, like just what kind of content you're creating. Um, this guy, he seemed like he was working on like a cartoon because that was his passion, is just like directing and like making animation and then the voice acting and all that. So, um, definitely, I'm sure that there's like great, great advice out there on how to manage that balance of a content style that's as rigorous as that one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just today alone, you've given great advice on it. Like you've mentioned spending time with loved ones, finding ways to escape, all that is part of it. I know that for myself in previous jobs and even now trying to do this, that there's definitely aspects of burnout because when I go into video editing, it can take hours for something that's like a half hour video. And with something like this, interviews are candid. They're easy. They're easy to edit. You know what you need to cut out. You know what you want to keep. All that stuff's fine. The rigor that comes with something like animation is huge. And to know that this person's voice acting for it, they're editing that themselves, they're hand drawing all this stuff, like that's massive. Yeah, there's many different factors that play into it. Now, let's step outside of the box for a second and outside of content. If tomorrow, because you go to events, you've done it for Snapchat, you do for YouTube. I see your story. It is what it is. If you were to take all that away, what what would you have? Like, what really makes you you that you can keep from all of this? Because at the end of the day, like, not saying that content ever has to stop, but if it were, how would you get by? What would you resort back to? What would you keep from this? What parts of this has like it taught you?
Yeah. Well, like I said, like I started off content and making videos and all that jazz very, very early on. And it was always just like a hobby, something that I loved. And then I was lucky enough where I loved it so much and I was so consistent with it. Like, I think it's been like 7 years now. And I never really stopped. I'm lucky that I was able to grind it so hard that it became monetizable. But just because it didn't mean that I never really valued my education. And that's something that I really, really relied on where let's say like just because I love this now doesn't mean that I'm not gonna doesn't mean that I'm gonna love it tomorrow. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna love it the next day. It doesn't mean that you know the reality is that social media it's not secure at all. Like it changes every day.
That's
It could
true.
stop. It could stop and the numbers everything could stop literally by next week, next month, tomorrow. And for me because I was very very aware of that, it didn't mean that I didn't want to pursue my education. I graduated with my undergrad and then I had the choice whether did I want to move to LA immediately or did I want to stay home and continue my education? And I remember it was a really, really hard, like difficult decision for me because I was already I would even say that was maybe like my peak, like right when I graduated Sac State. Like my videos were hitting like insane numbers and I was getting insane opportunities but I didn't really allow that to interfere with my education because again, I was always aware that it could stop and that could end like literally by tomorrow. So even though I was getting like insane opportunities, I was, crying with my mom and she's like, "Okay, listen, SB, like do you realize what you're crying over? Like what a great, problem to have is like trying to figure out do you want to stay and continue your education or did you want to immediately move to LA and like start this journey?" And I realized like it's so silly for me to like move immediately because the city's there. The city's here. It's going to be here forever. It's going to be here for the rest of my life. But to continue my education and really value that and put that first is so important because now I have the best of both worlds. I'm educated in not only social media and stuff, but in other aspects like so if I'm doing this more behind the scenes or I decide, being in front of a camera is like not something that I want to do anymore, like at all. I'm just going to rely on my degrees and work behind the scenes. So now I'm just lucky where I have the best of both worlds. So let's say this all disappears tomorrow and all my accounts, I decide to delete it. I'm comfortable and I'm
Be
very
crazy.
secure.
The-
I'm comfortable and very secure in like where I would lead to or go to next because I think I know that I've always had love for creative, so whether that's behind the camera or not, I'm happy.
that's that's good, and that's important. I mean, that's what all this is about. At the end of the day, you have to be content outside of content. I appreciate you even taking time to dive into something like this. I know that not everybody, especially those that are in content creation, have the time to do it. And yeah, we've been wanting to talk about this stuff for quite a minute, but I'm glad. I mean, I think there's a lot to go off of, and I doubt it's going to be the last time we talk. I know a couple friends and I, we definitely want to get you on the podcast at some point because you mentioned body image and other stuff for a while, and I know that that's a whole other conversation we can have because
Yeah.
you knowing that that's how I got you into my feed. So there's definitely way more to come.
Yeah, there's
But
like this umbrella, and then under the umbrella are a bunch of pillars, and it's like
oh yeah,
body image, mental health, content creation, social media strategy, like education, how much I value being a student. Even now, just because I graduated college doesn't mean that I'm gonna not continue seeking out like learning and
right.
conferences and meetings. And so I'm very happy and I'll always make the time.
And
Like
I
that's the
appreciate
thing,
it.
that's the beauty of like the balance of things. Like this is for me, this is just like a conversation. So
Right, and
not
that's real, and that's why I wanted it. I wanted to get to, not just pick each other's brain and learn more about how we operate, but really get that time to be vulnerable and to not just admit the insecurities that come along with something like this, but present to people how to overcome a lot of those challenges. And that, because you can talk about content all day and, hey, this is how you should get your views up. I'm not here to plug people's numbers. It's not the point. It's to let people know that there's a human on the other side of that screen. And I think a lot of people forget that. So you speaking on it, other people speaking on it, I appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of people are going to.
all right. Well, thank you so much. I really,
No,
really
no
appreciate
worries. We're
it.
definitely going to talk more in the near future. Hopefully in the near future, because I know this took us a while to set up, and that's not just on you, that's on me too, because like you, schedules get busy. So I get it.
Well, I tell you, just let me know when.
Yeah,
Let
I
me know
know.
when.
I
Okay.
know. I know.
No, don't put that on me.
I got busy.
No,
But no, I
thank you, Gabe. I'm here. I'm here.
look, I know. And hopefully at some point I will be out there. I mean, there's a 3 hour time difference, but we got it to work. So that this is not the last that any of my viewers will be seeing of SB. So we'll get more done. And I really appreciate it. This is huge and comforting to me to learn more about how you operate, but I think you've taught me a lot. Like you said, just because school stops doesn't mean you stop being a student. So I think that there's always something to learn engaging in conversation like this, and I I loved it. So I definitely want to hear more. And obviously, you can talk whenever. I know that that avenue's open. I just have to stay consistent with it, um, and in a lot of things. So, is there anything that you want to sign off with that you want people to know that you want to get off your chest? Anything at all?
Well, I love you said the word consistent. I feel like anything in life, whether that's work, friendships, family, anything that you really want to like excel and be successful in, even consistency within yourself and improving yourself emotionally and within your soul. Consistency is truly key. So I love that you ended off with that word because it's really important. Consistency, persistence. So that is I feel like a good pillar to end on.
It's real. Alrighty. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. Yeah, obviously it doesn't flow as natural as a lot of structured interviews, but that's kind of the point. I do want, like
I
you said,
thought
it.
it did. What are you talking about?
I mean, it did, but like it did after a while. It just felt like a conversation more than just, here, answer this, answer this, answer this. I just let stuff flow. Yeah, I had some key
You can't
questions.
have those facts.
Well,
I'm
it
kidding.
just I know how you work at times, so it is what it is. But no, we're definitely going to talk more about stuff like this. I think this is great. I think there's a lot that I can not only learn but apply, and it definitely I already have greater ideas going forward because I think you inspire a lot of people. I think it's important for people to learn to continue to inspire themselves because a lot of people need to kick themselves in the butt and know that no, it's okay. You're gonna make videos or write stuff that you're not necessarily the most proud of, and you spoke on that. Listen to Espy; she knows what she's talking about,
Not
and
always. I
not
make
not
mistakes.
not
A
always.
lot.
As one who has walked her through some stuff, not always.
Okay.
No, no, not always, but there's always something to learn. And no, she's brilliant. She's bright. She is absolutely wonderful. And now that you all know, she's a huge crybaby. So be nice because I will be upset.
Please, please,
So,
please. Yeah.
no, SB, I absolutely appreciate it. This was great. This was fun. And I promise you, I will let you know when we're recording more episodes about body image and mental health. And I will reach out so that we can coordinate how to get you on the pod for that.
I love it. Thank you so much. It was so nice chatting today. And goodbye, everyone watching.
Bye, everybody. Pop out.